nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Welcome back to the channel. I hope you stay, click like, and drop a comment. Now, I'm going to be talking about Daniel Penny and Jordan Neely. It came to light that evangelical conservative Christians raised $300,000 for accused murderer, 24-year-old Marine veteran Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny's lawyer have already crowdfunded over $2 million for his legal defense. Jordan Neely was a Michael Jackson impersonator that had mental illness and was homeless. He stepped onto the New York subway car yelling he was hungry and thirsty, and he was essentially tired of his circumstance, and he threw his jacket on the ground. Some people will think that's aggressive. Personally, I don't. That's a person who's mad, and we've all had outbursts before. Now, another interesting fact is presidential candidate Ron DeSantis, in a tweet, referred to Penny as a good Samaritan. And I'm going to butcher the name, Vivek Ramaswamy. Yes, the same one Don Lemon checked before his departure from CNN donated $10,000. Conservative outlet One American Nation have had segments asking whether Penny should be prosecuted or honored. The Wall Street Journal conservative-leaning editorial board made the case against charging Penny, describing him in a Friday headline as the Subway Samaritan. Rep. Matt Gaetz, yes, Republican of Florida, gave Penny a similar nickname, Subway Superman, on former President Donald Trump's Truth Social platform. Daniel Penny was released on $100,000 bond. He surrendered his passport and cannot leave the state. With pressure, New York DA arrested and charged Penny with manslaughter in the second degree, which is not sufficient at all. Neely's funeral was held in Harlem on May 19th. There was a press release by the law firm that is representing Daniel Penny, and it says a 24-year-old college student and Marine veteran. They want to make sure you know that. Earlier this week, Daniel Penny was involved in a tragic incident on the New York City subway, which ended in the death of Jordan Neely. We would like to express, on behalf of Daniel Penny, our condolences to those close to Mr. Neely. Mr. Neely had a documented history of violent and erratic behavior, the apparent result of ongoing and untreated mental illness. And I want to stop right there because I hate when people say people that are mentally ill are violent. The majority of people with mental illness, they are not violent, and he does not have a history of erratic and violent behavior. The fact that someone who is trained and was a Marine and know how long to put a chokehold on someone until they pass out, and also know how long it takes to kill someone with said chokehold, that is the violent person. But continuing on with the statement, when Mr. Neely began aggressively threatening Daniel Penny and other passengers, which is not true, Daniel, with the help of others, acted to protect themselves until help arrived. Daniel never intended to harm Mr. Neely and could not have foreseen his untimely death. A trained Marine does not know about the very thing he's trained in. For some reason, it's acceptable to put somebody in a chokehold, to put their arms around their neck and do that for 15 minutes. Sure. For too long, those suffering with mental illness have not been treated with indifference. We hope that out of this awful tragedy will come new commitment by our elected official to address mental health crisis on our streets and subways. That is so disgusting to me. This was not an apology. This was not sincere. This does not say regret. This is literally blaming Jordan Neely for his death, that he was mentally ill. And first of all, he didn't threaten anybody. He came on that subway and he was angry. So anytime someone is angry and they have an outburst of anger, because we've seen it with Karens, we've seen multiple men and women have outbreaks of anger and expressing anger in public. But I'm sorry, they don't get unalived. They get to see the next day. They don't stop breathing permanently. And like I said, I won't let them stigmatize people with mental illness, because that's what they're doing to get a murderer off. This is literally just looking at Daniel Penny's actions. People like to throw in so many other things just to cover up how he broke the law. This was disrespectful to Jordan's family. These people who did this did not do this to protect anyone because he didn't threaten anyone. He can ask for assistance if he wants to. He can be angry. He did not swing at anybody. He did not hit anybody. He did not pull out a weapon on anybody. So that never happened. The video is clear. And then to add insult to injury, they say that hopefully because Penny unalived Jordan Neely, hopefully this will be the spark of getting help for mentally ill homeless people. Before nobody really cared, but since someone was killed, someone is no longer here and living, maybe this will spark change. So you need a dead body of a certain person with a certain complexion to spark any change of an issue. That's disgusting. Now, the family response is Danielle Penny's press release is not an apology nor an expression of regret. It is a character assassination and clear example of why he believes he is entitled to take Jordan's life. In the first paragraph, he talks about how good he is, and the next paragraph, he talks about how bad Jordan was in an effort to convince us Jordan's life was worthless. That is, I couldn't phrase it any better. The truth is, he knew nothing about Jordan's history when he initially wrapped his arms around Jordan's neck and squeezed and kept squeezing. In the last paragraph, Danielle Penny suggests that the general public should show indifference for people like Jordan, but that term is more appropriately used to describe himself. It is clear he is the one who acted indifferent both at the time he killed Jordan and now in his first public message. He never attempted to help him at all. In short, his actions on the train and now his words show he needs to be in prison. And I think that is the perfect way to phrase it. Now, there have been peaceful protests in the subway station where Jordan Neely was murdered. On Monday afternoon, Danielle Penny was seen choking Jordan Neely, 30, aboard an F train in an encounter captured on video. During the nearly 4-minute video, Penny is seen wrapped around Neely's back on the ground with both arms tight across his neck. Neely struggled as another unidentified man holds his arms by the wrist. I think that person needs to be charged as well. The conductor and others can be heard calling for police, and after about 2 minutes, a bystander gets inside the train and warns Penny, if you suffocate him, that's it. You don't want to catch a murder charge. Shortly after, Penny releases the chokehold and the men roll Neely, who appears to be unconscious, onto his side. Neely was later pronounced dead at a nearby hospital. If somebody can come in and say, if you keep this up, you are going to kill him, and he heard that and it sparked something in him to get off of him, which he had already done it. You mean to tell me a trained Marine would know this? He was looking for a reason. He was looking for an opportunity to use that move because he's no longer in the military, which may be a good thing because who knows what damage he would have done if he had been able to stay. But yes, he did. This was clear and cut murder. Officers questioned Penny and released him. Later, the medical examiner office determined that Neely had died from compression of his neck, ruling his death to be a homicide. Now, for people that say he has 40 charges, personally, because he had mental illness and he was homeless, I would think that maybe he wanted a place to sleep and something to eat. So these must be minor charges for him to have so many, for him to be a repeat offender, to not have 3 strikes you're out, to not have done 20-year stints or 10-year stints. People are trying to use that as he's a menace to society. I just wouldn't understand how somebody is a career criminal and does harsh, horrible crimes and they just keep getting away with it and they have 40 racked up. Like I said, anybody with a brain would know that these are minor charges. Now, one of the charges is he hit a woman in the face, which is not justified, and he did his time for that. That wasn't right, but he did his time. Now, he was not a villain like Brock Turner, which I did a video on, who got a 6-month sentence. And then he got out on 3 months for good behavior when he SA'd a girl on campus behind a dumpster. Now, that's what you call assault. That is a horrible crime that should have more than you getting out in 3 months for good behavior. Now, this is not like Donald Trump and Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, who essayed women, but one became the president and one is a sitting judge right now. No murder, no manslaughter charges like Daniel Penny. They are using his recourse to get food and shelter to demonize him. He was not some menace to society. He needed mental help. This is how evangelical conservative Christians really feel. No, they would not do what Jesus did and give the man the coat off their own back if he needed it. They would not feed the hungry and pray for the poor while giving them a drink of water. They would not quench this man's thirst. They will elect a man that grabs women by the you know what and forcibly violates women. Champion a Supreme Court justice that essayed a woman. A justice that commits injustice, if that's not an oxymoron. They are like the dogs that eat their own vomit. They call it good. But I'll go ahead and leave it right here. Let me know what you thought about this story and go ahead and give your input. Do you think that he's a subway hero like Superman or Batman, or do you think he is a murderer? Go ahead and drop that comment and I'll see you in the next one.